Good morning. Welcome back to Coffee and Colorful Conversation. Happy Wednesday. Today's topic is creativity and mentorship. No matter how long you've been in the industry, you're normally one of two types of hairstylists. You're the type that, locks yourself in a room alone with a doll head and gets super creative and comes up with different techniques that you've never seen done by someone else and you've never done before. And you make a discovery. Wow, I did that differently this time and this turned out great. I'm going to do that more. And then that leads to another technique and another technique. We are blessed in the industry to have many of those creative people, most of which were in the revival event that I did in October. So I always keep in close contact with my most impactful mentors, one of them being the one and only Beth Minardi. She was always and still is the type of colorist that just saw the way to do color differently than most anyone else that I've ever seen, either on a stage or in a local small training, in-person hands-on training. Just looking at the hair in a different way and stepping back and seeing things in a unique way. Her red on red formulas are spectacular. Her color right now looks amazing. We just did a follow-up event to Revival. We wanted to stay in touch with all of the amazing people that showed up for us in the Revival event. It was a huge success. We definitely plan to do it again next year. So if you missed it this year, be sure to attend next year. We will not disappoint you. So we did an after party that was sponsored by Rusk. Rusk has a brand new product called Rusk and 10, and we all have seen 10-minute colors in the past, and they've been pretty disappointing. They're very inky, very heavy dye load. Looks like someone took, a little thing of shoe polish and put it on their hair and called it a day. It wasn't an interesting or rich color. It was like super inky and dense color. So when Rusk said, we'd love to sponsor your event, what can we do? They offered to send every single attendee a box of the brand new Rusk and 10, as well as some of their Rusk Deep Shine glazes. So everyone enjoyed it. They practiced with it. They did all kinds of different clients with it, and we got a lot of great feedback. So Rusk reached out and said, let's do an after party where we can talk more about the goodies that they got and have Beth, during Revival, we talked about hair color. She's amazing at talking about the business of hair color, about raising your prices, about up-leveling your color to an art form and not just slapping on a color and setting a timer and walking away. So Beth was with us. Our event was this past Monday. It was great. We had an awesome turnout, and her pre-done videos, I didn't get them until the night before. So I really didn't know what she was going to show during the event. So I was as much of an attendee as a host for this event. So when we played the video, I was so blown away that after all these years of looking up to her and following her and learning everything from her, that she still can surprise me. She can still bring some sort of twist that I would never have thought of and would never have tried on my own. Right now the trend is, clients are tending to embrace I want to embrace my natural gray. One of the models that Beth did was virgin salt and pepper, and her salt was completely taking over the party. She was having way less pepper. So it was, washing her out a little bit. She didn't have enough dimension around her face. So, most of us trying a 10-minute color, our first thought is, let me put it all over her head. Let me just color all of that gray. And Beth was like, no, she doesn't need it all over. She doesn't want that kind of maintenance. Even if it's a 10-minute color, it still requires maintenance. If you put it all over the whole head, she's going to have that telltale line of demarcation. And if she's been salt and pepper for 10 years, do you think she wants to come every 4 weeks when she has the telltale track of gray down the center of her head? So instead, the woman had really thick hair, beautiful hair. So Beth did a really deep W section below the parietal ridge in the back, separated all that hair and pinned it up, and she did roots to ends in the back because the woman had a bob. So it's beautiful to see all that depth in the back, but have dimension around the face. So she approached the situation as, how can I make a silver on, a gray on pepper, mix? How can I make it look beautiful and dimensional without making it high maintenance? And she nailed it. She did the Ruskin 10 solid roots to ends in the back because it was on virgin hair. Filled all that in with a level 5. I think she mixed, or no, it was 6G and 6N mixed together in the back. And then throughout the rest of the head, she went in and highlighted, or I shouldn't say highlighted, well, kind of. She placed the Ruskin 10 in foils and made it dimensional coverage in the rest of the hair. So it was beautiful when it was finished. And then her next model, which totally surprised me, was a male model. This gorgeous guy with icy blue eyes with boring brown hair. And it was that longer hair in the front that men are starting to gravitate towards. And men are starting to be as, complicated as women when it comes to their looks. They're getting their brows shaped. They're starting to really care about their appearance. They're getting facials. They're getting pedicures now. So it's completely changed the landscape. So think about if a male sat in your chair and said, I want to get a few highlights. I guarantee that most of you watching this would reach right for the bleach. You may reach for the bleach with a low volume developer. You may only do a couple pieces. You might hand paint it balayage style. That would be your go-to, right? Just get some bleach on there because he's a male. He's not going to want to sit in the chair with foils on his head, processing, talking to all the ladies. He wants to get in and get out, but he wants that little bit of brightness. So she did her male model and she chose to use Ruskin 10 level 8 ash color. I was blown away by that. I was just like, I couldn't even form words after the video was over that, yes, I have done male color, male highlights using color, but I would never in a million years choose a 10-minute color for that. I always think 10-minute color is you're always looking for a quick pop of gray coverage and get them in and get them out. So again, just using a product. She wasn't using it wrong or going against manufacturer's instructions. She just is able to look at things completely different than most colorists that I have followed or had education with, myself included. I consider myself a really good colorist. I really understand the foundations. I understand formulation. I can do any head that sits in my chair. I can do their hair, but I am not that colorist that's going to lock myself in a room for a weekend and come up with a new technique. There's a woman named Chiala Marvici that I just invited into my insider membership to do a demonstration. She created this whole technique called hand pressed color, where she puts color on like an acrylic board and smushes all these different shades together, and it's beautiful. I'm not that colorist. I wouldn't think of that, but I am the colorist and the educator that finds her, discovers what she did, and then brings it back to my members. So I consider myself a creative connector and a good solid colorist, not as much a creative, create techniques colorist. So having Beth in Revival, having Beth in this after party, having Beth's phone number in my cell phone. I mean, when I say fangirl, if you follow me for any given time, I have followed her my entire career. Any show or class that she was present, even if it was a show I didn't normally go to, if I found out she was there, I went. It didn't matter if it required a flight. I went to see her where I had to take a car to a train station, a train to another train, got off that train and had to be shuttled from the train to the resort to go see her and her husband at Canyon Ranch. And it was one of the best trips I've ever had in my entire life. And I travel quite a bit. So she is innovative, just always coming up with new things, generous with her information, still always wanting to share with other colorists, and really passionate. I mean, she has gotten every award that you can possibly get as a hairdresser. I think she got the Lifetime Achievement Award in NAHA. She's been on every magazine color. She's worked for every manufacturer. She had her own hair color line. She's done it all. And she reached out to me and said, let's do an event together. I want to do an evening where we get a bunch of passionate colorists, hairdressers together, And you and I talk about the state of our industry and how rough this last year has been, and just connect with people. Just share some color ideas, some new things that either of us are doing to help you behind the chair, but more so to create that connection that we're all missing so much. So we are creating a really fun, unique event. It is not going to be your typical hair event that you're going to sit there and watch her do color or me do color. It's not that. So if you are craving that connection and you just want to be heard, you just want to be able to be in community with other people that are going through exactly what you're going through, this is an amazing event. And she took it another step further because of her relationship with Rusk. She has a special partnership with Rusk where she's an ambassador to their new products. They have a brand new deep shine cream lightener, and it goes back to creativity. I rarely use a cream lightener when I highlight. I don't know why. It's just something that I just don't think about. I did, years ago, I started using a 3-part system from L'Oreal that I really loved, but then it got annoying mixing 3 things together. So this is a cream lightener, just the cream with the developer, easy to mix, beautiful consistency, lots of condition, lots of shine. And she demonstrated that in our after party on a model. She used the Deep Shine cream lightener, and she alternated with one of the Rusk Level 11 series colors, and it was beautiful. So she reached out to Rusk and said, Elaine and I are doing this event. Can we gift the Deep Shine cream lightener to our attendees? And they said, absolutely. So not only do you get Beth Minardi and myself for 90 minutes virtually from anywhere that you are. You can be on your phone, you can be on your computer, you can be on your iPad, you can be inside, outside, in your car, anywhere you are. It is a Monday evening. Let me double check on the date. Monday, February 22nd at 8 p.m. And it's 90 minutes. And I don't want to ruin all the surprises, but let's just say you're not going to just be talking to Beth and I. You're going to actually get to be with one another. And these events that I've done, I've hosted them and I've been a guest at them, have been some of the best life-saving connections that I've made all of last year. I've made friendships that would never have happened with people in areas of the world I never even heard of in these type of events. We're all craving that in-person connection, and it's going to still be a little bit before we can get to an in-person event and feel really comfortable doing it. Not being in a mask and really far apart, and actually being able to sit and have a cup of coffee with someone close up at an in-person event. So I don't think I can share on here, but as soon as I finish this broadcast, sorry, I will put the link in here. The Colorful Conversation event with Beth and Elaine is only $37. I was teasing Beth when we created it and we came up with the price. I said, Beth, do you realize I have never come to see you for less than $395 for anything that I ever went to? And it was always the best damn $395 I ever spent. And that was not including she's in New York. So I had to drive to New York, gas, tolls, parking. Parking in New York's like $50 a day. Hotel is never less than $300 a night. Breakfast is $50. Everything is more expensive in New York. And I did it with a smile, always looked forward to it, and always took what she did, came back to the salon and implemented immediately. Beth is not going to do, dip the ends in Kool-Aid, use carpet dyes, manic panic. She's not that kind of colorist, and neither am I. So a lot of times I would travel to go to a show only to get there and see this fantasy hair that belongs on the stage at a Naha competition, the avant-garde, the wow, I can't believe hair can really look like ostrich feathers. There's a place for that, but it's not the type of education that I was looking for. That to me was entertainment. I liked to be entertained. If you're going to show me that kind of hair, I want to be at a beautiful dinner, at an awards banquet where I see people doing avant-garde, over-the-top hair. I want to be entertained by it. I'm not looking at it like, oh, I need to write that down. I need to go get those supplies and go do that to my client, Nancy, who's, 58 years old and has gray coverage and just wants to be a dimensional blonde. So Beth never disappointed me. I hope that I never disappoint you. Most of what I teach you and share with you on these coffee chats came from me learning from Beth. So for me, this is such a pinch me moment. It started with, I was bawdy enough to go up and say, can you please sign my book from you? No, first I asked her, could you do a testimonial in my book? So if you have my book, either digitally or paperback, in the book, she is one of the people that has a testimonial in the front of the book. And that was like a dream come true. And then I went to see her again, and she said, if anybody wants to, come up and take a photo, you can do that right now. And of course I had my book, and we took the photo, and I was like, can you sign my book? So she signed my book. Instead of me signing a book and giving it to her, she signed my book, and I cherish that copy. That's the one, whenever I refer to my book and I'm at my desk, this is the copy that I always use, because it's always by my side. Because when you have a strong mentor that you can trust and that changes your career in that much of a way, like she tripled my income by being my mentor. My income was changed forever. She showed me that you could specialize. I didn't know that was a thing. I opened my salon when I was 22 years old. I did not have a business plan. I did not know what the hell I was doing. I just knew that I loved doing hair and I hated being told what to do. I'm a Taurus. I always have to be the boss. I always have to be in charge. And, in relation to this conversation, I'm not real great at collaboration. I've been asked to do collaborations before, and I say yes because I want to be open to it. And then about 3 days into the process, I'm like, I'm not liking this. My control freak in me takes over, and it becomes something that I'm no longer proud of. I can go into this collaboration with Beth without a single worry, because I know that she's the person that I look up to and that I learn from, and I know she has great taste, and she won't want to do anything that isn't the absolute best, because that's who she is. One of the first times I saw her live, I really didn't even know who she was. I was like, I want to say 23. I was open a year in business, and I was invited to this fancy event at like a 5-star, amazing hotel in Center City, Philadelphia, that I could never afford to eat at, let alone stay over or go to an event. So it was from my distributor, and Redken was launching color gels. It was the original color gels, and they said, we want you to come, and they're going to have this wonderful speaker. So I went, and I got all dressed up, and I was in like the second row, because I'm not the person that sits all the way in the back in the class and hides. I'm up front doing this. And I highly recommend doing this, because when you leave with a question on your mind and your heart, you never get the answer. So if you're going to sit through watching somebody demonstrate, get your questions answered. When people ask me questions, I love it. I love answering them, because I know I was that girl with the hand up. So she did a wonderful presentation, and she was talking about applying color with a bottle, with a pointy tip applicator bottle. And of course, me being 23, it was the beginning of everyone changing over to a bowl and brush. It was everybody was using European cream colors that were super thick, and they put down the bottle and they pulled out the bowl and the brush. And that was considered to be more professional when you got out of beauty school, that when you used a bowl and brush, it was showing your client that it's something that they can't do, that only you can do as a professional, because you're dipping and you're applying, and it's this, big production. So she said, I can put a retouch on in 6 minutes or whatever. And I was like, 6 minutes? It takes me 6 minutes to mix the color. Then I have to put the towel around the client and talk to her a little bit and, do the little starry thing, and then start to apply and section the hair and keep dipping and doing this, dip, 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 dip. And she said, well, why are you using a bowl and brush? And of course I said, because it's the most professional. And I was told that we had to stop using the bottle when we got out of school and start using a bowl and brush to be professional. And she said, is it professional to get hair color all over your client, all over yourself, all over the floor, all up your arms and elbows, because there's too much space? I'll never forget it. I was 23 and I'm 53. We're talking 30 years ago. She said there is too much space between that bowl and that client's head for that color to be dripping all over the place. And all of this motion when you do color, as long as I have, she was talking about herself, doing this, you're going to have problems with your shoulder, with your elbow, with your whole body because you're doing this unnecessarily. When you have a bottle, of course, I have nothing to demonstrate a bottle. I'm going to use this. Pretend this is the tip of an applicator bottle. She said you can be precise about exactly where you need to be on the hair. You can section the hair with the bottle. You're not using two different things and all these things in your hands. And you're laying a bead of color exactly where you need it. And I was like, she's right. I loved using the bottle. Why did I ever stop? That's crazy. So I went back to using the bottle from that point on. And then every time I discovered a new color and it was super thick. Alpha Parf was one of the lines that we loved. It was super conditioning, very low ammonia. The reds were awesome. The blondes were awesome. We started using that, and that was just way too thick to squeeze out of the bottle. But her pointing that out and pointing out that you can keep your clients blonde so much longer when you're using the brush, you tend to sweep the hair in that motion where you're going down over top of existing highlights, and then you're creating the need for fresh highlights. When if you just use the bottle and put it right here and protect these highlights, all is good. The client has another 5-6 weeks without needing any highlights. So that was 30 years ago when I was 23, and that's when the whole love affair began. And the running joke is like, does she have a restraining order out against you yet? Because everywhere she went, she would look up and see me. And always right in front of her face in the front row, no matter where she was. But now, for us to exchange ideas and collaborate on events and be doing things together, how amazing is that full circle that she showed me? She said, obviously you're passionate about color. You come to every one of my events, and her events would be her doing color and Carmine cutting, and I wouldn't pay a bit of attention to Carmine cutting. I loved the end result. It was beautiful. He's an amazing teacher and an awesome stylist, but he didn't do any color. Beth would color it, and then they would go to him and he would cut it, and then they would show the finished model. But I always was laser focused on every move she was making and what she was doing and writing notes about what she was doing. So to have someone have that kind of impact on your life is important. If that saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. When I first started out in the industry, I thought I knew everything. I was a really busy kitchen beautician. I had a line out the door in my kitchen for at-home hair. So of course, when you get behind a chair and you graduate, you assume that all those same people that are so loyal and wonderful are going to be your first clients in the salon. If you've experienced what that's like, that's not true. They still want to be your kitchen clients, and they still want to pay $5 for the color and call it a day. So I got into a salon thinking I knew it all because I had done all that kitchen hair, and I didn't know it all. I knew nothing. I knew the very bare minimum, but I had a lot of confidence and a lot of attitude and thought I knew it all. So then I got a job at a big company where they said, we don't care if you know it all. We have a training program, and these are the steps, and you have to do this for 2 years before you even touch a client. So I sucked it up, went to the salon, signed on for the 2 year. I felt like I was joining the military. I was like, oh, control freak, not being able to touch a client for 2 years and have to listen to every single way they do things. I mean, down to the company that I went to work for had their shears, the length of the blade was this long, and you had to use them. So I went in there with a tiny little blade this big and then had to buy these giant blades and use them and get used to them. So it was a learning curve. And I was there, I was in the training program, and right away I knew I wanted to do color. So it was supposed to be a 2-year process. But when they say if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room, I wasn't the smartest person in the room at that salon, but I was the most passionate and the most ambitious. Everybody around me had this funk of being frustrated, disappointed, and totally not creative. It was very, you had to all dress the same. Everybody had to wear all white. I'm showing my age. Now it's all black, but back then it was all white. You had to wear all white. The whole salon was white. Everybody had the same scissors. Everybody was like robots. It was like one of those movies where like a futuristic thing where everybody's like perfect and they're all dressed the same and there's like no creativity and everything is just robotic. And it just like crushed my soul. I would sit, when I didn't have a client, I would go into the back room thinking I could learn from someone who was more my senior. You know, there was people who had years and years of experience more than me. And what I witnessed in the break room is, you know, two girls sneaking out and going to the restaurant in the mall. We were in a mall. They would go to the restaurant and have cocktails over lunch because they were so bored. And they would be like so giddy that they got away with it. And I'm like, that's not the life that I want. I don't want to drink during work. I want to learn. And I want to be that busy hairstylist that's so busy I don't have time for lunch because I want to make a life for myself. I want to be able to live in a home that I love and I'm proud of. I want to be able to take vacations. I want to be able to have a car that doesn't not have brakes like I did when I was in beauty school. So I had dreams and goals, and the people around me just sucked all of the oxygen out of the room with their negativity. It was always bitching about the management, bitching about the structure, bitching about everything. And the one thing that I did get from being with that company is that when you are a leader of a salon, if you let everything be just whatever is, and let everybody do their own thing, it leads to a very unprofessional environment and you're not able to charge the prices that you deserve to charge. If the client walks in and I'm, you know, totally dressed like I'm going to a special event and my makeup's on and my hair is done and I have accessories on and I look super professional and the girl next to me has a belly shirt on that has no business wearing a belly shirt and her guts hanging over her jeans and she's got holes in her jeans. She's got flip-flops on with chipped toenail polish and, you know, her eyes are all squinty and she smells like vodka from the night before. Your client's going to notice that. And even if it's not you, it's a reflection of you. You know, my mom wasn't a big quote person, but one of the things she said often was, you're known by the company that you keep. And when the people around you are unprofessional and acting in a certain way, even if it's not you, it will affect you. I can't tell you how many times we lost clients because of someone who was at the front desk. Something that they said, something that they did. I would call the client and say, oh my gosh, you know, you've come to us for 20 years and all of a sudden you're not here. What's going on? And she said, I have children older than her. And I have never been spoken to the way that your front desk girl spoke to me. It is unacceptable. It is an embarrassment. And you should think about whether you want to continue having her on your desk. And how would I know? You know, you get those phone calls where they're like, your phone call may be recorded for quality assurance purposes. I don't know what is being said on the phone, but it's my job to know how these clients are being treated by who I chose to hire. That's on me. So surround yourself with people that are creative, that are professional, that are charging higher prices than you, and watch them, learn from them. Don't hide in the back room when there's a break. And step out of your comfort zone. Come to this event with Beth and I. You have nothing to lose. You can turn your camera off and you can not say a word. You can just be an innocent observer and just take it all in. Or you can go all in, which I highly recommend, and be interactive and get to know the other people that are at the event. It's going to be a lot of fun and very unique. It's going to be like something you've never attended before, and that's on purpose. Because if we always do what we've always done, we always get what we've always gotten, and life stays the same. And I don't know about you, but I am happy that 2020 is behind us, and I don't want things to stay the same. I want to keep coming up with new and innovative ideas. And I have another thing coming up. I'm not going to share it today, but if you even have the slightest desire to teach, to get on stage at a hair show, to get in front of a group of people, if that's ever been your desire and you have no idea how to go about it, I have a really awesome event that I'm going to be sharing soon. Save the date, April 25th. Put that in your calendar. It happens to be Hairstylist Appreciation Day. That's why I chose that day. So April 25th, save that date, and, you know, think about what your dreams have always been and take away the fear and go for it. It's going to be really easy to be involved. It's going to be super fun and no pressure, and you're going to really love it. So Thanks for listening to my coffee chat. Enjoy the rest of your coffee and your day. Have a great rest of your week. I'm going to put the link for the conversation, colorful conversation with Beth and Elaine back here on this coffee chat. I hope you'll share it with friends on other forums. Please feel free to share it, invite your coworkers. If you haven't already, January is the end of this month is the last opportunity to get my digital copy of my book free. You simply go to my website, expertcolorsolutions.com, and then /2020 books with an S. expertcolorsolutions.com /2020 books. I will see you all next week.